Now we're official. Hey everybody, it's Cindy. This is an open door. I don't know why I just started crying. Um,
Oh.
and this is the um, hour that we've put aside to do Finding Truth Everywhere. And Rana's not in the room right now, but Rana introduced us to Christian Sundberg. Um, and at least I had an amazing experience with the teaching. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. I have more than 5 pages of notes. Um, but as is my habit, and since Barbara is in the room, so she'll remind me to hit record again. I'll start with a song. I was given the song from something outside of my intellect, and when I tried to question it, um, I got nothing. So I know this is the song. I couldn't have any other song. And for the point of the recording, the song is Van Morrison's Into the Mystic. And so, Barbie, you're on making sure I remember to hit record again, right? Here we go. All I have to do is say that, and I remember to hit recording. Okay. So I listened to this recording and then I listened to most of it again. And then I stopped and sat down and took a couple of hours to listen to it again and notes and all sorts of things. So, um, that being said, I have just a few things I want to put out there and then I'll open it up for for conversation. Rico made it. Where I'm waiting for Rico to show up. Rico, I'm getting like I got a text from Izzy this morning to make sure that you were okay. You're still okay, right? From the fires? All right. And it's really good to see you here. So, oh, I am too. I am recording, David, which is very cool. It says recording. Yeah. Okay. Um, so I'm just gonna be a few minutes to hit the highlights of things that I absolutely wanted to make sure I cover. That the most important being what I didn't even put in my notes until I really sat with it this morning. And I'll stop and talk about this for an hour if anybody wants to. It's this statement, I am always me. We've had conversations from a lot of teachers about what happens before you die and where are you after you die and what happens to this personality and all of that other stuff. I don't think I've ever sat with a teacher that described it in the way Christian described it, in the way that I understood it, which throughout this entire thing, he continually said, well, he also said, my life, your life is the gift, right? That's the way it downloaded here. Whatever's going on in your life right now, this is the gift. This is the opportunity for you to realize the truth of who you are by I'm going to do it. Look at the hair. My arms just started to stand up. My life, your life is the gift. And it's our opportunity to realize into the truth of who we are. And it doesn't matter if the hardship is relationships or health or choosing to be born into a war torn family or an abuse, whatever is going on, it is the quality of our intention, right? It's the quality of our intention on how we meet our lives in every moment that becomes our gift and our realization. Um, from that perspective, uh, there was a lot of these converse. He said this: the specific story doesn't matter. So somehow it really downloaded here that my relationship with my children or this health issue or that, whatever's going on, that's all the window dressing. That's not who I am, right? That I drop. When the body drops, I drop the story, but I don't drop me. The way he said it, don't worry, folks. You're always going to be you. There was a letting. He's like, there's nothing to be afraid of here. Like, there's nothing in the death of the body that should create any type of concern when you get that you aren't your body and you aren't this story, but you are you. And it brought me back to the Nisargadatta Maharaj quote that I adore, that I've been walking around with for years, which goes, as long as I believe I'm a person, I'm going to see people everywhere. In truth, there's no such thing as a person. What we call a person is a thread of memories and habits. In the moment of realization, the person ceases. Identity remains the same, because identity is not inherent in the person. It's in reality itself. So he not only did he say, I get to be me for all of eternity, but what I am as an expression of God is joy and love and peace and a depth of being that one can't even begin to understand through the density of the current human experience. So if that's the only share I have in this hour, I feel complete. I got 5 pages, like I said, of notes, but I am willing to be interrupted or add any other voice at any given time from here on out. I would. You know. So interrupt at any time. Alka, we can't see you though.
Oh, I know. Can you?
We can see
Right.
you now.
Yeah. Just, I just wanted to make a quick point that I've heard this video many times, a couple of years ago, and all that. But this time, when he said when he was when he was in the second womb, and he tried to get out of it, and God came in and showed him how he felt all this love and showed him that he would always be this, he would never lose this. That sort of went into every pore of my body. I didn't, it was there before, I'd heard it so many times, I thought, oh, that's nice. But this time it just impacted in such a way that that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. And I think you're speaking to why I went back to listen to him. He is a joyful, what did you call, Amy's got her hand up, but I think she called him in a text exchange we were having before, a gentle soul. And the truth, oh yeah, Michelle too. The truth was there, right? This edge of that, but just hanging with him in the way he says, guys, like if you even touch what we are just a little bit, your fear's gonna drop. So thank you.
Thank you.
Richard. Hey Richard, do you love me?
Hi everybody, love you all, and welcome to our newcomer. There's a couple of New Yorkers in here that no longer live in New York, because one, I was raised and brought up in peaceful New York, in Westchester County. So welcome to Nyack and everyone else from New York. So I have all the traits, unfortunately, of being in New York, therefore being my biggest trait. But and so I have a question. The other day when you guys were talking about this recording, you talked about Seth. And I listened to, I thought I must be listening to the wrong podcast because nowhere did Seth come up on the podcast. So did I listen to the wrong podcast? I don't think so, but
I don't know what you listened to, but actually, can I tell you that he gave one Seth quote somewhere in the middle? He said, I think it was Seth who said, we are all just staring at a light, at a beam of light, thinking we can't look away, but we can. That was the whole Seth reference.
I guess I missed that. Thank you for that clarification.
Livy gives the whole quote there. Physical reality is like a bright point of light that you just never look away from, but you can.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is that it for now, Richard?
That's it for now. I have some other observation I may share later if prompted.
Okay. Diego, so wonderful to have you here. You'll have to unmute those, sweetheart.
Hi, it's so great to be here. I just want to share. So my dad, he passed a few days ago. But it was just amazing because my dad and I have become so close since since he apologized to me. And he told me, I remember he told me, because my dad used to hit and yell me, and I used to shake in fear. But he apologized to me. And I remember, and he told me, he said, can you teach me how to be like you? And I was just like, what? What? Who are you? What? And that was when everything changed between us. And that was when also I just saw that whatever, if there's anything that someone's doing that is not love, that's not who they are. That's not who they are. That there's only love. So I just wanted to share that, and how I just love being here, and I love these teachings, and just to know what I really am, what we really am.
Thank you, Diego. And sorry for your loss. I'm grateful to hear that you touched your father's heart.
It was such a gift.
Amy.
Dago, I would say I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm not, because I know you know he's probably closer to you now than he ever has been. And I'm so happy for you that you know that. And I hope that through the coming days and weeks and months that you will share with us how your dad comes to you. I would love that. I'd love that. So you just added another Indagoism to my list, which is, what did you say? I love what we truly am. It's lovely. Thank you, Indago. I have a list of things which I'll quickly just run through because I thought this was just extremely powerful, and I'm so grateful to Rana. The Atlas of the Coffee Cup. He said something that I thought was really, really good. I am powerless to escape agony. I am too proud to suffer. Is that not true? Is that not true for so many of us in so many moments? I cannot escape the agony, but I'm too proud to suffer. What a bind. What a bind. Welcome to the rich content that is available through veiling. The rich content. I love that. And he said, this is the most separate we can be. My teacher, Zoe Marai, used to tell us, this is the ultimate separation. Absolute ultimate. And he said, who can block God's presence but God? Who can block it but God? That's why I think A Course in Miracles, this, tiny mad idea is okay, but the idea of sin and making a big mistake, I don't know. I think we could do better than that. And then he said, the beings whose job it is to veil, every veil is specific to the unique aspect of God. And those who do the veiling are very, very skilled. Wow. And then his description, reality is like being in an IMAX, and this is like black and white TV. And then he said, healing is synonymous with owning the moment. Today, lesson 9 is I see nothing as it is now. Healing is seeing what it is now, accepting it, and allowing it to move through you. And he said, that's integration, and integration and healing are the same thing. And be authentic about your integration. Have your moment. If you want to say this is bullshit, I frigging hate this, go ahead. Go ahead. That's all right. Move it through you, right? Oh, I love it. And then the quality of intention. It precedes content and it precedes thought and it precedes choice. So it's the quality of intention, and the intention to love may not look like love in the moment. It may seem to hurt other people, but in the end, that quality of intention that's what you bring through you back into reality. It's that quality. So A Course teaches, don't just be a good girl or a good boy so that on the surface, everything looks good and you don't hate anybody. No, if it's loving for you to feel that hate because you don't love the damage or the suffering, then that's okay too. That's okay. It's the quality of the intention. And then he called this the thought responsive system. I love that. It's a thought responsive system. That's a really big clue there, I think. Then he said healing. There was like a 4-step process for healing. One is to see what you need to see it, say yes to the moment. I see nothing as it is now. See what is now. Allow it, say yes to it. Then feel it in your mind, in your body, through your emotions. That's step 2. 3, ask, what is this connected to? It's like an archaeological dig. What is this connected to? And be willing to see that and feel that, right? And follow the layers down, down, down. Don't look away. Follow them down without any judgment and just acknowledge, acknowledge, acknowledge. The power is in the alignment. So as I align to my now moment and I let it move me and flow through me, That's where the power is. This is exactly what my teacher Zoe Marai used to say. She used to talk about it like it's a tube. So you feel your emotion, feel it, let it move through you. She used to talk about it like it's like champagne bubbles moving through a glass that's too small. It's an electrical charge. It's, just feel it, ride the whole thing. Keep your eyes open the entire time and let it go. That's where the power is. You're aligning what's in your body, what's in your mind, and what's in your heart. And then your spirit opens and you're a complete tube that's uninterrupted and you are channeling your spirit. Right? So, yeah, and don't worry, you'll always be you. Just be your authentic self in the moment, right? Whatever it is you're feeling, that's for you. Be your authentic self. Love this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So 2 things before I hand it to Suzanne. While you were talking, I was thinking about Jim Self because he was talking about dropping the backpack. And
Yes.
Jim always talked, but then this is something, chills again. He said, did you know that you could put down everything in the world of form? You don't have to sort your thoughts or your relation. You can put it all down. And the other thing he said that came up while I was listening to you, and where did it go? We are multi-dimensional beings of love, and there is nothing to fear. I think that's the way it is. Man, he really did. We are really multi-dimensional beings of love, and there is nothing to fear.
Yes.
Like I want to put it really big, paint it really big on my wall.
This is the Course in Miracles, and I'll shut up after this, although I know I don't have to apologize. This has been my meditation, Barb, wherever you are, for so long. I wake up and I feel uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable thoughts. I imagine an altar and I give everything to that altar. It's like there are angelic beings on either side of the altar, and they just want me to load it up. Whatever I bring, they're like, yay, what else you got? What else comes up in the moment? It's like, I put it down. I let it move. I don't hold on to it. They're going like, yay, what else you got? And I do that until I'm fucking empty. Empty. There isn't anything else. And sometimes it takes 2 hours. And sometimes I have to do it every night. That's it. That's it. I love us. I could only say this like this in this group, and I so appreciate it.
Us too. Love that Suzanne is here. Hey, Suzanne, welcome to An Open Door.
Hi. There's a little bit of a backstory for me as to how I came to this group. My sister came to visit for Christmas this year, and I hadn't seen her in many years, and it was a surprise visit that my daughter worked out with my sister, and we just had an amazingly wonderful time. And after she left, I was doing the dishes in the kitchen, and I was wondering and feeling all the residuals of all the fun times that we had in the last 3 days, and I was wondering if it was possible to take the height of all the emotions that I had experienced in my life, all the higher vibratory emotions, joy and peace and happiness and connection, into the next world. And I thought, oh, I'm going to ask my guides about that, but I didn't do that. But then 2 days later, Cindy sent me this podcast link, and it totally answered my question, because in the podcast he says yes, indeed, you can take all of those high vibrations, all of those excitements, all of those joys, all of those moments of peace and gratitude and all of that, and start there instead of having to go all through it again. So I'm always trying to share all of this with my daughter and not teach when I'm doing it. And so I phrase it by like sometimes I'll send her a link. And I sent her a link of what he had said in the podcast. And I said, she wanted to know what I had been reading and what I had been listening to. And I said, this is what I've been listening to and reading. And she sent me another text back. And she said, that sounds just like my thesis that I just finished. And she just finished her master's thesis. And sure enough, I know what I'm learning because we are very close and we live very close together. I know the benefits of everything that I'm learning are manifesting in my life, but I'm seeing them manifest in my children's and my grandchildren's life. And that is so amazing. And sharing this kind of information is wonderful. And I'm so grateful to be in connection with you people. It was such a joy to meet Cindy, but I'm looking forward to being part of this group. So thank you. And yeah, really. So
Oh,
yeah, so synchronicity is my deal. I see it everywhere. I feel it everywhere. One of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou, and she says, and this might be a bastardization of the quote, but it was pretty much like your crown is bought and paid for. All you have to do is pick it up from the floor and put it on your head and wear it. And this is what we're doing. This is what all of these wisdom teachers, whether they're coming from the course or Seth or the guides or whatever, they're all coming to the same thing, and that's the empowering ourselves to realize who we really are and the depth of that and the breadth of that and the effect of that. It's humbling that every sound we make, every thought we have is somehow affecting someone somewhere.
it's like you were in our training wheels meeting yesterday when we were talking about I have no neutral thoughts.
Yeah.
Well,
I
thank
don't
you.
know. I'm not, I don't, I'm not there yet with the neutral thoughts. I'm still, I'm still in the joy, um, and the bliss. And you said something about, you know, uh, the 100 years thing. You're not going to get it this 100 years or the next
Oh,
100.
I said I'm on the 1,000-year plan.
Oh, I'm on a million-year plan.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for
Anyway,
being here.
yeah, it's good to meet everybody.
Did you love it, Sandra?
Yes, but no more than I love this right now in this moment with all of you. I'm on the now plan. Not- Oh, wow. Good morning, good afternoon, my friends. I also listened several times to this, and I loved listening to the things that you picked out, Cindy and Amy. And it's interesting that the things that resonate with each of us and the connections that are made. So I also wanted to let you know that I also have my daughters and grandchildren benefiting from the vibrational experience that I bring into all of our lives. And it's so cool to watch and to be a part of. So I'm grateful that's part of the life I chose. So I'll just pick out a couple of things because I could go on for hours. If anybody wants to meet later and talk about this all day long. One of the first things, and I also picked up some of the same things, but he said that this is a profound opportunity to accept the life we're in, even though we're veiled, but to be human. And I thought, yes, that's what I'm experiencing. Life is so precious to me. This life, in all of its joys, sorrows, happiness, pain, all of its contrasts, has become so, so precious. I just feel it right now. It is so precious. Even this morning when I went to physical therapy, and everybody's complaining about the snow and the weather and then this and then that, and I just sat there and I went, and something told me to speak, and I said, I love it. I love it. And I love sitting here with all of you. And they all stopped and looked at me, and I wasn't even embarrassed. In the past, I would have been embarrassed if that came out of my mouth. And they all went, yeah. I said, well, look how pretty it is. And each season gives us something, I don't know, just came out. Just this preciousness of all of it. And then I get to have the veil lifted to see it right now. I don't have to wait till I get out of this form. And I think that was the other big takeaway I got from this, when he says, well, he actually said there's a purpose. And the purpose, they were twofold. One was the experience, the integration. And I thought, oh, I get that. I get to be, what do they say? Christ was fully human and fully divine. Well, so are we. So I get to be both and integrate it and feel it. And then the second one is what you've already mentioned, Cindy, and focused on, was that we're here to wield a high quality of intention. And he specifically mentioned love, joy, peace, and freedom. A high quality of intention. And that intention will shine through the choices you make. He said, there's that old word, choices, that we all get to talk about over and over again. But I felt it more than understood it. I felt it. I walk around, something that came into my, very clearly through consciousness into my mind years ago, that I've held on to, is because I was always saying, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And what came through was, it's not what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. It's who you are. And now I know that who I am is the quality of the intention. It's what is my source? Where am I coming from that matters? Then the choices kind of just happen in a good way. Wisdom is accessible in a way that's so different than what I thought wisdom was. And I get to see with different eyes, like the Course says. And all I want to say is, wow, 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 all the time. Wow. Oh, I love your smile, Rico. I love it when you smile. I feel it. I feel your smile in the whole being. The physical being feels it. So like I said, I could go on. I really liked him. Really liked it. And he mentioned a book, A Walk in the Physical. I might get that book. Oh, I also loved I'm Always Me. And you know what it reminded me of, Amy? It reminded me of when you were sharing with us near-death experiences and how people could feel and taste the presence of a loved one. And I always thought, how could that be? And now when he says, you're always me, I go, yes, I get that. I feel the perfume of their presence. Those, like my daughter, you know? So I guess that's enough.
Yeah.
That's
It
enough.
was something every time because he did it 2 or 3 times when he said, I'm not a masochist. And isn't this hardship so phenomenal? I am so excited that I spent a week not being able to breathe, dying of potassium. Isn't this the most amazing experience? Like every time he like exuded that, I I saw you. I saw your teachings because that for me anyway, that's so much of what you bring. Oh, I'm gonna be so miserable today. This is wonderful, but it's not like not, oh, isn't this the greatest moment? And then, oh, I'm with my granddaughter, how wonderful. Whatever it is, it's like
He said, work with this life, and the quality of intention rises through the physical and produces joy. Now, I don't know if I got every word exactly right, but that's what I heard. And that's what I'm experiencing. So I can feel the pain. I can feel and it's not a spiritual bypassing kind of thing. It's more, I really feel it, like Amy said, bring it through. And I feel the joy. They are not opposites. That's what, I mean, they're there together. That's the integration.
Jim Self is coming up again, Amy, and maybe you get that because Jim Self teaches that if we don't fully experience something in the moment, it waits until we're ready to. And his teaching was like that. We have to bring up all the gunk, whatever we're carrying around. At some point, we have to say yes to it and fully experience it and then the joy is like through it.
Then you find out it's not gunk at all.
Then you find out it's not gunk at all. Yeah.
That's enough for me. Thank you for listening, everybody. I couldn't contain myself today.
Barbie's in the house.
One question. Who the hell is that?
Who wants to answer that question, Amy or Suzanne?
Seth and I'll just call it an entity. It's really a compendium of personalities, not personalities, of souls, of beings, called one name, Seth, that came through a woman that lived in Elmira, New York, whose name is Jane Roberts. And Seth was coming through Jane, I want to say in the 60s and 70s, Cindy.
Well, Suzanne, what year did you meet Seth? Do you remember what year it was?
Yeah, I met Seth 1972.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had been reading those. At that time there were 2 books, Seth Speaks and the Seth Material. And I remember wanting to believe it. Feeling instinctively that what he was saying was right, but it was so off the wall from my upbringing and everything that I just, I wanted to believe it, but I was very skeptical. And I read the books and then kind of put them down and, did a hippie thing for a couple years. And then on my way back home to go back to school, I stopped at a friend's house in Pennsylvania. They had a farm. And they offered me a place to stay for 2 weeks. And I lived on the farm for about 2 weeks and had like the idyllic farm experience. And they were into a psi class at that time. They call it PSI. And they would go to the psi class and then they would have all this wisdom when they came back. And I said, I want to go to your psi class. So they said, okay, so we piled in the car one night and drove maybe about an hour and a half, and ended up in Elmira, New York. And I had just a real brief awareness that that's where Jane Roberts was from. But that was all, And so we ended up right in front of their house, and that was where the class was. She had a class that she gave every week. And I was part of that class. And I was still skeptical. But I was able to actually see Jane Roberts transform from this very frail, very but articulate and inner, with inner strength. But externally, she had lots of physical issues going on. She had arthritis issues, and a lot of things like that. And so she was sitting at this table, and someone brought her a glass of beer, and she started drinking the glass of beer, and she took a couple sips of the beer, and this little tiny wizened like person all of a sudden like sat up, and her chest expanded, and this deep voice came out of her that was Seth. And so I thought, okay, I'm a believer. I get it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And Seth had a message for all of us. So that's why they liked to go to the class, because they were getting an actual message from Seth every week. And yeah, it was definitely a thing. And she was an amazing channel, and she had a great personality, and she and her husband seemed to be a unit, um, like I hadn't seen in many relationships, many marriages. So yeah, it was interesting to see the manifestation of that book right in front of me that night. So,
Shall we find out what Livy wants to say?
pardon me?
I said, I think maybe we should find out what Livy wants to say.
Oh yeah.
Hi, everybody. Um, I just really found this extremely affirming in so many ways. And being, as most of you know, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and so much of that drinking was so that I didn't have to feel, and because it felt like way too much, just way, way, way too much. And even early on in sobriety, I would wake up and look in the mirror and think to myself, this is just too hard. And it not being sober, but just living, it just was like, this is just too hard. And it's not that I wanted to kill myself, I just didn't want to be here anymore. And then I got in with a really good therapist who really guided me into feeling, and processing stuff through feeling. And and it was intense stuff, coming through. And I had no idea that going into pain could be so freeing, just allowing the feelings. And, and fear was such a part of my existence. I was just afraid of everything and everybody because I was raised by two people who didn't know who they were. And they leaned on other people and drilled into me what other people think is the most important thing. And so it just, fear was such a huge part of it. And, he said, fear is always insane, whether large or small. And fear means unevolvedness. There's something that we have not fully come to terms with or healed or integrated yet. And he even said processed, and we sign up for different challenge levels. And I love that, because if we sign up, there's no way to compare. That just throws comparison out the door. And we really see our oneness and the choices, that are made as who we really are, and to become more of who we really are. And I just absolutely love that. And because true power is alignment with spirit, and everything that spirit is, everything it means, which is love and peace and freedom and joy and accepting, saying yes, actually being willing to process and experience the things in our lives. And that's an act of saying yes, not judging ourselves, but saying, you know what, I feel pain, feel it to heal it. And that just really resonated with everything in me. Just, I don't have to be afraid. And if I am, it's okay to feel that and to share that, like with y'all and people who can guide me to be with the feelings. I ran so much of my life to not have to feel it. Who knew that is the door to freedom, is to feel and to process the feelings without attaching a story. And he said, people are unevolved because they get stuck. When they stop feeling, they get stuck because they're stuck in the story. And boy, was I stuck a long time. And I am grateful today that when I get stuck, I have people I can call to help me process and get the feelings moving again through my body. And I'm grateful today to have people who can guide me in that process of truly I heard a man about 30, little over 30 years ago say, you can get more stinking from thinking than you can from drinking, but to feel is for real. And to really understand that to the core of whom I am now through this teaching, and to understand I don't have to be afraid for my little great grandnephews and nieces to grow up, because I wanted to protect them from life. Well, it's what they are. It's what I am. And it's allowing everybody to be where they are and who they are without judgment, because everybody has chosen a different level to be in. And I just absolutely just loved it with everything that I am. And so thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you. Mel has her hand raised.
I was going to lower it, but it's so good to be here with everybody. And I've gotten so much from all this. Everyone has shared so much. It's just so helpful and valuable. And I found this so comforting because of how, we really, there's nothing to fear. And that this is, this challenge of being in the physical is silently one of the biggest challenges of all. And that it only gets better, when we it takes all fear out of passing or whatever. It just means there's just more limitless being is it's just so cool. And it was so weird. I came across this verse in, of all places, Colossians. And it actually, Sandy, it made me think of you because you were talking about compassion. For some reason, I know this is kind of off the wall, but I just thought, they mentioned God's chosen people. And I think, God's chosen people is everyone, because we're all God's chosen people. And it goes, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved. I love that, dearly loved. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And that's kind of like that intention, when we are all that one being, and we're all love. It just naturally we have gentleness and compassion. So.
I don't think I've ever heard you quote the Bible.
I know. Out of all places, Colossians.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Amy.
Just quickly, I think he urges us to be our authentic selves. And I think it's good for us to remember that we are all one in big R reality, but we're all unique expressions of the one. And so sometimes being one's authentic self requires a lot of courage, right? And it requires pissing other people off. And I think especially for females, it's really difficult sometimes for us to be our authentic self. And because we fear physical overpowering, we feel rejection, we feel we just feel vulnerable, very vulnerable sometimes when we are our authentic self. And I really appreciated his saying that. I think the world will change for the better when more women are free to be their authentic selves, and not men, not women. I don't want to get us too much in that camp, but I will say I think that is still true. You know, and so you got to be courageous and be a bitch sometimes. You know, maybe that's what that means, right? Maybe it does. We're so afraid of that word, of being called that, you know, unattractive, unworthy, you know, whatever the negative verbal description is. We fear that so much. You know, that's why we wear shoes that have heels so high they ruin our back, right? That's why we wear dresses that, you know, show our breasts. It's because we want that love, you know. We're willing to go to such lengths, stupid lengths, in order to be loved. And that's not authentic, right? So anyway, I could go on for an hour about that, but I love us.
According to Kendall, a bitch has a broom. That's why she can fly. Richard.
Hi, everybody. I, I guess if women can be bitches, I guess men can be more bastards. So, I've been there. I decided not to be that way. So, everybody has their own choice to make. So, I love the podcast. It reminded me of 50 years ago. I came in contact with Seth, and not like Suzanne did, but I read the book where I had a number of meetings. And then I also ran into Ruth Montgomery. And I liked what he shared about his first birthing experience. And in Ruth Montgomery, she said that stillborn children are the result of the soul deciding at the last minute not to reincarnate. So that's always been important to me. So I found that interesting. All the comments you made about the podcast were really good, and they really hit me at the right time. My beloved right now, Debbie, is undergoing the first chemo treatment in the hospital as we speak, and I was able to text her, thanking her for her willingness to experience the cancer she has as a way of dealing with her own fear, but also raising the consciousness of the rest of us. And I want to thank all of you for being present in these meetings, because it really helps me to keep my mind on the positive track and to deal with the fear that is arising in me. So, as the Course says, there's only two things: fear and love. So if you're not feeling love, you're dealing with fear. So regardless of the label you give it. So I thank you all, and I love you all, and I just love being with this group. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Richard. And I'm holding you, and her name's Debbie, right? Debbie in my heart. One of the things that he said right in the beginning that I'm choosing to say now, since there's no more hands raised, is that every word I say is a lie. I really enjoyed that, by the way. He says that it is impossible to put what I am attempting to share with you in words. So as soon as I begin to speak, it's not that. It's a lie. And so it really helped me remember that we use words and we're telling stories and they're pointing us in. It feels like we've had this conversation recently, that it's very, very useful. And yet it really helped, like, especially a lot of us over the last X number of years have been in one too many conversations about which path is the right path. It's ridiculous. Like, none of them are the right path because they all use words. And so I really enjoyed him starting with that disclaimer. And so I'll put it out there and then I'm giving the mic back to Richard.
Thanks for that. I also love that phrase. When he said that, I thought that the course says, words are but symbols of symbols, twice removed from reality. And that reminded me what I also got out of the podcast is, as we evolve consciously and open our minds, we are willing and capable of understanding more about the illusion, the size of the illusion. So initially, I think, for me, you're born from a woman, you live and you die, and you go to heaven or hell. But there's so much more to it than that. I mean, there are all these densities, and like he was explaining, which was all the illusion in my mind, because it still is duality. If a separate soul is a duality, so it can't be real. But I'm learning from all these teachers and from these groups that we experience everything. The real and the non-real is part of our experience. And being the love that we are, and everything we experience is a journey. So regardless of whether you label it an illusion or a reality, my job is to experience everything, being the love that I am in truth. It's like I have a headset on, and most of my life, the world was in my foresight. And every once in a while, in the back of my mind, I would experience a twinge or an image or a glimmer or a glimpse of something more beautiful. Now I'm turning the background into the front ground and putting the front ground in the back, so I can walk through my experience as of living in this body, mind, or whatever level of consciousness I'm experiencing, but I never forget what I am in truth. That's in the foreground. And everything else is just appearing as it should and as it did. So thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you. And this hour flew by. So I'm going to stop the recording in a minute. I just wanted to say I love us. Thank you. Reality check is tomorrow. Direct experience. That class keeps getting better and better. Next week, I found an interview or a conversation between Andre. We all decided, I think, that we like Andre. He's having a conversation with Michael Beckwith. So we kind of know him. It'll be a different conversation. The week after that, the Kendall led us to I can't remember his name, the man who did The Octopus Teacher has a book. And so he's been doing a lot of conversations about taming the wild or going back to the wild. But I have a podcast with the author of The Octopus Teacher geared up for the week after that. I love us. And now I'm going to stop the recording. Here we go.